Hello, everybody. Hello, boys and girls. How are you? My name is Alejandro Castillo. I'm the owner of Plus Volleyball platform and board member of International Volleyball Hall of Fame. It's a pleasure to be here right now with my fellow co-chair of the International Media Advisory Council, Alfredo Cabero from Chile. We are starting this series of interviews with inductees, the 2025 class of inductees and past inductees. I hope we can keep learning a lot from the stars, from the legends of volleyball, worldwide volleyball. And now in episode number 1, today is Thursday, November 27th. It's 12 p.m. here in Mexico City, 3 hours more in Chile, and 7 hours more, 5 p.m. in Zurich, in Switzerland. And our first guest is what can I say about our guest? Is Olympic champion, European champion. It's a legend in volleyball, inductee of class of 2025, and who is doing right now a very, very interesting job for the finance of the retired players. We will talk with him a little about that. It's a pleasure for me to introduce Ivan Miljkovic from Serbia, Olympic champion in Sydney 2000. How are you, Ivan? How are you?
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Alfredo. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to volleyball fans all over the world.
No, we are very, very excited about that. Alfredo, how are you? How's Chile?
Hello, Alex. Hello, Ivan. For me, it's a pleasure to be with you both. In Chile, we have a cloudy day, but it's a very nice day. Hoping that summer will come soon. I'm also so glad to be with you both. I agree with you, Alex, that this is our first interview with the inductees of 2025, legends of volleyball, and especially Ivan, who is a legend himself in volleyball, and I think the induction of his person in this year in the Volleyball Hall of Fame is absolutely deserved. And when I saw the wall with all the inductees when I was there in 2023, it's obvious that Ivan must be there with all the legends that has been inducted before. So it's a glad again to be able to speak with Ivan and also with you, Alex. You're the host of this program today. So let's go on.
Thanks a lot. I just wanna mention. I wanna give a big thanks to all the staff in the International Volleyball of Fame, starting with Steve Bishop, of course, Heather Furman, Aaron, Jen, Doug Bill, Joe Alberta. They have been amazing. This year was my second ceremony in Holyoke. It's an amazing place. And well, we, the people of volleyball, we have to grow, and we want to grow the volleyball footprint in the world. Thanks a lot for all of them. And Ivan, again, it's great to have you here. We met in Holyoke 5-6 weeks ago. It was amazing talking with you. I would love if you can share with us about your beginnings in volleyball. But first, welcome to the show.
Hey, first, thank you all for reminding me of all the things that I did in my career. Yeah, it was a very long career, almost 22 years professionally and 17 years outside of my country, playing more than 250 times for the national team. Let's say for the same country with 3 different names and 2 different national anthems, even more than Russia. So the country was Yugoslavia in 2000, then in 2004, Serbia and Montenegro, and then in 2008 at the Olympics, it was with another national anthem, and it was only Serbia. And I played in different countries like Italy, Greece, Qatar, aside from my home country, Serbia. And as I mentioned in my speech in Holyoke, in every calendar year, I won at least 1 medal somewhere, or with a national team or with a club. So yeah, quite a long career, but since you already asked me, Well, I started first playing a little bit of handball, swimming, and playing tennis in front of my house. And then at one moment during my career, I started to play volleyball at school because not being so strong and so tall at the moment, actually the net was such a good, like a possibility to not to have a contact with the other players and to start playing something, because some of my friends were playing football and basketball at the time, a very famous sports in the Balkans, especially in the former Yugoslavia, or let's say Serbia, and quite successful. But at the end, like in one moment, at the age of 16, 17, everything was okay, but I grew up like 22 centimeters, or let's say a little bit less than how much it would be, 6 inches, 7 inches, more or less. Yes.
Yeah.
And, actually at that moment, I was already in volleyball for a couple of years, so I didn't want to quit. I didn't want to go to some other sports. And actually the first invitation to go to play professionally at the age of 16 came. So I just continued my dream playing volleyball. And then, like coming from a big city, not a capital in Serbia, but coming from a big city, then I moved to Belgrade, the biggest city and the capital of Serbia, stayed there for 4 years, and then the career moved forward to Italy, to also Rome, to Athens in Greece, to Istanbul and Ankara in Turkey. I spent a couple of times also in Qatar, in Doha, and with the national team traveling almost in all the countries and all the continents around the world.
Amazing. Let me go a little back. Ivan, you mentioned different anthems. We all know that at that time it was a difficult time for the Balkans, for Yugoslavia, for Serbia. How did you live those times in that situation who was hard for you athletes and for all the people there?
Listen, living certain situations when you are young gives you another perspective than if you have like 40 or if you have 60. So for me at that time, like I was understanding and I was realizing that something was going on around us, that things were moving differently than in some other parts of the world. But still being involved, not directly, but very close to the happenings in that region, of course, we're leaving some kind of a mark on my life and also on the life of my generation and also of the athletes at that time. But for sure, like when you have a dream, when you think about doing something and you're young, and my dream was like playing volleyball, trying to do my best and maybe try to transfer to some bigger club, bigger city, and fulfill my dream of becoming a champion somewhere in some country. For sure, didn't mean so much about the situation that was, a bad situation that was around us. And you can find also the dedication of the generation of the players of that moment, starting in '95 with the European Championships, the first competition after the sanctions of Yugoslavia at that time, and the first victories when we were watching the national team of volleyball on the television and dreaming of becoming one of them one day. And then, of course, 1996, to remember the Atlanta, the third place. Yeah, when the national team were like good, but everyone considered them as an outsider, and then they stood at the podium on a third as a bronze medal winner. Then things started to change. And to be honest, for us, playing for the national team or playing for any team sports in the region of Yugoslavia was I want to say a kind of war where luckily there were no killed and no the ones who won it, but there were always winners and the losers on a court. So I believe inside our mentality was always that kind of a spirit that was also established, let's say, many years ago, but also throughout the years and throughout the decades was and is always present inside every team sport in our region.
Great. Alfredo, want to say something?
Yeah, I want to ask you something about Serbian volleyball or Yugoslavian or Serbia-Montenegro's volleyball. And we spoke about this when we met in 2022. I asked you about your thoughts. Why do you think in your country you have so much and so good sport tradition? And you asked me back what I spoke with Vladimir Grivic. I asked him the same questions, and he told me about the geographic situation of your country between Europe and Asia, and your fight spirit, your need to be able to fight against the enemies, and so. You told me about your experience and your vision about that. That's why volleyball, female and male, is so good in Yugoslavia and Serbia. You have basketball, tennis players, soccer players. It's a very important thing, an important issue in your country. So I wanted to ask you about what do you think that your generation was so good? Because sometimes you see some countries that have good generation and win gold in Olympics and world champion. But what do you think in your generation was able to achieve gold in the Olympics in the Europe Championship?
Look, we cannot speak only about the medals, especially about the gold medals. And I would agree, like you touched a very important point from my life, and this is one of my hobbies, and this is history.
Yes.
So, like I also like books. I like books a lot. I have more than 2,000. And regarding the history, I was always curious about understanding, let's say, the history of the region where I was born, where I lived, and also a history of the whole nation that once was a big nation, and then it became it split into different smaller countries. And like I believe because Serbia, Yugoslavia, the ex-Yugoslavia was always on a crossroads between the West and the East, was always on a frontier between the East empires and the West empires, was always on a place where the religions were exchanging places, moving left and right for kilometers and kilometers. People from all over the world were coming there to stay there, or were just passing through and going from east and then going from east back to west. So being on a crossroad for sure created a specific mentality of the people, created a mentality of the people that are always, let's say, aware of the threat that it might come in any moment. Being prepared to react very quickly, because if you don't react very quickly, then you are going to be gone. And all that things that were happening, and these are only some of the things that created the mentality of the people in that place. And being a small region, being a small territory, the only way how the people made the possibility to defend themselves is together and to stay together and strong. So I believe this is also inside our culture that also reflects onto our sports. And that's why, especially on team sports such as handball, volleyball, basketball, football, also water polo, and many others. So this is the spirit of community, the spirit of togetherness, the spirit of going against the challenge all together. And of course, that as a result brought us to the situation that in many situations 20, 30, 40 years ago, all of these national teams were at least once at the podium at the Olympic Games, many European and World Championships, and also, if not at the top, always representing a very strong opponent against whoever we ever played.
Ivan, I really respect all the Serbians. I have a very good Serbian friends. I respect all the Balkan people, because you are good in sports. You have struggled from different ways in the past, but well, you have examples like Luka Doncic, like Nikola Jokic in NBA. You play with the Gerbics. I mean,
don't forget about Djokovic.
Novak Djokovic, of course, who is also playing at 40, 42, 43.
He is something around 40.
Yeah. How can you describe this spirit of fighting? I can assume, well, I'm sure for sport, or I can assume for another aspects of life.
Well, listen, there were also many NBA stars who used to play. Don't forget Kukoc, who played for the Bulls at the golden era together with Jordan. Stojakovic, and then if you remember Vlade Divac, who also was one of the first, let's say, white centers in the NBA, and many other athletes who played for different teams in different parts of the world. Look, it's inside our mentality that whatever we do, we try to do our best. And especially the more you challenge us, the more we try to react, to respond, and to try to be better. So it doesn't matter from which country of the ex-Yugoslavia we come from. You can all, I mean, take an example of many athletes coming from this region. It's all mixed, you know, like mother coming from this country, father coming from another country, then the grandparents maybe from totally different places. It's all mixed. Here in the Balkans, it's all mixed. And because of that mix, we represent an opponent that you never know how he or she is going to react. And I think that's something that the statistics and the artificial intelligence will never try to figure out how we do what we do and why we do some things that we as an athletes, I believe also as a people do. But let's keep on talking about sports for now.
Okay. You play with the Garbage. How is playing with the Garbage? I mean, it was a team full of talent, including you, including Nicola, and both Garbage. Boba Boshkan, I have the pleasure to meet Boba Boshkan here in Mexico 9 years ago. How was the feeling of that team, or the locker room activities in that team?
So the generation that started to play after the sanctions of Yugoslavia in 1995 was actually a generation of good players that for 4 or 5 years didn't play internationally with a national team. At the same time, many of them that you mentioned also played for a very strong international clubs. So let's say they were just kind of waiting the moment to start playing for the national team and to show their real value on the international level with the other national teams. So they basically started in 95, and I joined that group of people in 1998 for the first time when I joined the national team to play at the World Championships in Japan.
Yeah.
So with the results that came after, and from this perspective, I can just say that it might be that I was the missing puzzle that they actually needed, because all of them were like around 30, 32, and I was the one who arrived there almost 20 years.
Wow.
And they were missing this puzzle to do something great, because before that they were doing really, really good. But in order to make something great, it looks like that once I arrived there, things started to change. I mean, also the other people might confirm that. It might be my personal point of view and understanding, but I truly believe that in 1998 at the World Championships, for the first time playing the finals, and of course losing how we lost, that's another story, but winning the silver, we were one step closer to winning something important. And then in 1999, unfortunately, there was another stop for half of the year. And in 2000, I think we really shined. Even though we started the Olympic Games with 2 losses, 3-0 against the very strong opponents, I think we managed to overcome that start. And then at the end, to win against both of that opponents in another way, 3-0 against Russia and 3-0 against Italy.
Right. Alfredo.
Yes, I want to ask you, Ivan, about do you have some championship or some tournament that you remember the most? But because, for example, not many times you play as you wish, but you win gold. Sometimes you play not so very good, or you play fantastic and you didn't win a championship. Do you have some championship besides maybe the Olympic gold in Sydney that you remember the most? Maybe the first or the last one of all of them?
But listen, from my perspective, it's not that much important about the medals, because the medals at the end is just a reward for all the sacrifices and all the hard work that you did in the previous period. And that doesn't have to mean only during the summer. It can mean in the last 3, 4, 5 years that you did before. And what I really like to point out are some of the tournaments that, for example, it's not about winning the last point or winning the medal or whatever you do at the end, but there were some moments that I'm personally going to remember for the whole of my life, the way how we approached the opponent. The way how, for example, we played in Turkey the qualification games, the finals against Spain to qualify for the 2008 Olympic Games, and actually we were losing 2-0, where in one moment we managed to turn around the game, arrive to play the 5th set, and then just simply play out the best volleyball we ever played before. And then there were also moments where I really remember, like winning some of the European Cups here with the teams, with the clubs that I played for, like winning the championship without me having me on the court, because I was not that good that day. And of course, there's a team. There's another one who can step inside, who can just recover your present. I mean, trying to do what you were supposed to do, but you couldn't have done it in that moment. And these are some of the moments, like that I'm going to remember for sure. And the energy and the spirits of the teammates who were just close to me, who at some points telling me, look, I will do this for you. If you don't feel it, just don't worry, I will do it for you. Or also in my case, in some situations where we were not feeling well. And just because we were professionals, I was pushing the other players and telling them, look, as long as we are in the court, we should try to do our best. I don't care if we are tired or not. We are here to do our best. Today, it can be 90%, it can be 60% of our possibilities, but we have to try to give our best. If we try our best in this moment, we will try to win. If we win, congratulations. If we lose, we lose. Very happy that actually the opponent was better than us, not because we gave the possibility to the opponent to win the game.
Ivan, in the other hand, can you remember or share with us one of your most disappointing moments in your volleyball career, or a moment that you could say, we as a team could do more, offer more?
Listen, I was always about thinking like never a failure, always a lesson. I was always also from the good and not so good moments trying to get the best, because if you get the best out of that and continue doing it, and then if you really think about what you didn't do good and maybe try to work around that and try to make it better 1% during the next training, during the next game, then this is a totally different story. And like playing 22 years professionally and 17 years professionally outside of your home country, there were many, many situations when the things didn't go well. And I cannot remember exactly every moment, but I really, really remember that I was always approaching that situation with an idea like never a failure, always a lesson.
Right. Alfredo.
Yeah, I want to ask you now about a topic that you're saying that you're doing right now, but about helping or teaching sport athletes after they quit their professional careers. But when you were a player, a very active player, do you thought about this when you were young, or this was a decision, or this was a thought that you began to manage after your retirement? How was the story about you thinking, well, someday I must quit the professional activities as a volleyball player, and I must do something? Or how was the story in your case?
Listen, Alfredo, thanks for mentioning this, because that's one of, if not, it is one of the first major points of the book that I just wrote. And it says, like, the time starts, the clock starts to go backwards the moment you become a professional athlete. The moment you sign your first contract actually starts a countdown towards the end of your career. So it can be one season, it can be 2 years, it can be 5 years, or in my case, it can be 17 years of a career in a row without any big injury. So it is, in my case, I truly believe that I started to play volleyball where the internet was at the beginning. We didn't have, or at least we had kind of mobile phones, but we didn't have a smartphones as we have today. The social media and the social network was not present yet. So at that time, I remember that I always liked to read books, and that's where my love for books comes from. And instead of watching something on a television or watching some TV series, I was just really into the books and trying to read. And my idea since the beginning was, you never know how long your career is going to be. So as we spoke at the beginning, I was born ready. So I wanted to be ready for the end of my career, whether that end was going to come in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years. So I approached every season of my career with an idea that this might be the last one. And it might sound like a terrible thing, but unfortunately, this is the reality. And the sooner you become realistic in your life and in your career, and this is also one of the quotes that I put in my book, like, play like you are going to play until the end of your life, but save and invest your money like you're going to stop tomorrow. So I had that approach in my head. I was constantly educating myself. And aside from all the professional things that I had to do, I was also preparing myself for one day after, when all of us, all the professional athletes, will become and will finish the career and become a normal people. I like to call it like this, a normal people.
That's pretty interesting, Ivan. Of course, that's one of the things I most enjoyed talking with you in Holyoke about your activities right now, especially in a sport. We all would love to have a bigger volleyball, most well-paid volleyball. But if this happens with guys in NFL, in NBA, of course it's happening in volleyball. The contracts are not so big, but maybe some younger athletes may think, hey, I have a lot of money because 1 year ago I had nothing. What is the biggest advice you will give to young athletes, to athletes who are signing their first contract, and for sure they think or they wish they can play for 20 more years, but it doesn't happen in all cases? I mean, it is the rarest thing that a volleyball player can play for 16 or 18 or 20 years. What's the most important advice you will give to all athletes, but especially for volleyball athletes?
Listen, I always like to talk about the facts, and the facts never lie.
Yeah.
It is true that actually the sports in the United States is the best organized, the most developed, let's say, the commercially, organizationally, whatever you want, is organized in the United States. The fact is also that when we talk about the professional sports, recently, a lot of people have heard about the transaction where the LA Lakers were sold for almost $5 billion.
Yeah.
It's the fact that people in Europe have started to talk that the NBA will soon move to Europe and will create an NBA Europe branch. It's a matter of fact that the contracts in basketball, in professional basketball on a top level, have gone ×2, ×3 regarding the contracts that they were paid like 2 years, 3 years, not so far away. It is true also that in 2021, the FIVB joined together with the volleyball world to create a different way to approach and to organize volleyball and beach volleyball around the world. It is a fact that actually from 4 years, we are moving to 2 years World Championships in different places around the world. But it's also a fact that, and we also have a situation in the United States that a couple of new leagues, especially female leagues, have started to be developed thanks to the investments of the private capital in the United States. But it's also true that every year we don't have the increase of international transfers.
Yep.
But it's also true that the increase of contracts around the world did not happen. It is true also that in many countries, volleyball players who play professionally, male or female, are earning less than a normal worker in a country.
Yes, that's right. Totally right.
And then imagine that if you are a parent that has 16 years, 17 years old kid, you're still deciding for that kid. And you, as a parent, what are you going to advise your kid? Are you going to tell her or him, go and play volleyball because one day you are going to play professionally somewhere in Europe for 20, 30,000, whatever. Or you are going to tell your kid, go and study and do the university. And after 4 or 5 years, you are going to have 20, 30,000 with the possibility to earn even more if you learn more and if you do different things even more. This is the problem. And I also spoke about that in Holyoke during my speech. You can find that speech on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Actually, we need to create a platform, a system, an ecosystem, a volleyball ecosystem where the first contract is going to be 3, 4, 5 times the average salary inside the country where you organize volleyball. So that the kids, instead of going to school and maybe to continue education, or let's say postpone their education, because today we need to be in education almost every day until the end of our lives. Unfortunately, they will opt for an education because they will say, okay, I'm going to be a professional volleyball player and get the same salary that maybe my parents are getting right now. And it's like seeing the larger picture, seeing the bigger picture. I know and understand that in volleyball on the world level, we are trying to be a little bit different. So most of the sports are trying to distinguish it from the national teams and the clubs. And then in volleyball on a highest level, we are just trying to point out to the big competitions for the national teams. But also, let's not forget big, medium, and small clubs that invest a lot of money without the possibility that any of that money will return back. Let's give them a chance at least to dream that one day tomorrow these investments are going to be at least zero. Not to have a profit at the end of the day, but at least to be at zero, and that we can develop, yes, volleyball all around the world, but we need to have something like the NBA in basketball. We need to have something like the ATP tour with the strongest players. We need to have something that everybody's going to watch, talk about, connect with, engage, and also spend the money on. So this is what the volleyball right now is missing. And I believe that we are going there, but I believe that the other sports are going faster than we do. So it's just an open discussion that I was also confronting myself with an argument with the people from the FIVB, the people from Europe, with all the people who want to exchange their ideas, the people with whom I many times agree that we don't agree about something, but still we should not stop thinking, dreaming, and working on it.
I agree with you. We have a lot to do in volleyball. I think one of the big questions or big dilemmas, I think, this is my opinion in volleyball, is think about the NFL Super Bowl, no? The American football. In Super Bowl, I'm sure that 98% of the fans who are attending the stadium have never played football, have never touched a football, but they go there because of the experience, because of the once in a lifetime experience, and they paid a lot of money, $10,000, $20,000 for one ticket for the Super Bowl. In the other hand, this is my opinion, my conclusion, there's a lot of people who plays volleyball, but they are not exactly, they are not going to pay $1,000 for a volleyball game, or $500 or maybe $100. The people who plays volleyball not exactly are fan of going to watch volleyball, high level volleyball. I think it's a matter of time, it's a matter of money to increase the fan base and to make the volleyball more visible to people who doesn't play volleyball. I have talked with this with people in North America, in Europe, in Asia. They have different opinions, of course, but one thing I'm sure, we the people of volleyball are the responsibles to grow volleyball. What do you think about that?
When you say growing volleyball, according to the numbers, there are 800 million people around the world. I mean, people from the institutions of volleyball around the world are talking about that numbers.
Yeah.
And it can be true. It can be true. But the point is, how many of these people we can transform and make them pay for what we give them?
That's the big question.
And that means that even if we create 500 million followers on Instagram or Facebook, even if we have 5 billion comments, even if we have people who are going to watch hours and hours of volleyball, that doesn't mean that someone from the United States will take a flight, come to Warsaw, watch the finals, and pay for the ticket, hotel, and stay there.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest challenge, how we are going to convert the people from around the world to follow volleyball. And most of the people today are connected with volleyball in some kind of a way. They used to play, their wife or husband used to play, their kid plays volleyball now. They used to play for a team, or they have a neighbor. So there is a connection between the person who comes to watch the game and volleyball. I'm not quite sure, but it's not only about bringing people to watch the game. You need to qualify the people, so it's going to be a real quality fan that you are going to attract, engage, and bring them to watch the game. For example, my kid is playing basketball. I've been traveling around the United States and Europe. I'm looking many basketball games. I'm paying hundreds of dollars for the jerseys and the shorts to get to my kid, to bring to my kid. I'm paying hundreds of dollars to go inside and watch the NBA or EuroLeague basketball game. Why? Because there are also other people who pay. Why? Because they find it interesting. They are connected with the sport, they're connected with the player, they're connected with different things that actually invited them to come. Understand? So this is, when you take a look about the vision of the FIVB, just go on the website and you can check it. The vision says, we want to be the family sport #1 in the world. This is great. But I want to bring my kid to watch volleyball, and I pay hundreds of dollars to come there, for example, and I sit 50 meters from the court. And my kid, he wants to take a picture with Jiba or whoever. And I don't have a possibility even to come closer to the court. I come to watch with my kid at 8:30 in the evening. Do you really think that my kid is going to sit on the stands at 8:30 in the evening and not going to be a little bit nervous or everything? He would like to sleep at that time. So there are many. How long we didn't change so drastically the rules? We changed the ball, we changed the libero, we changed the scoring system, but we still need to work on many things. Why we cannot? We need to invent things. We need to do something differently. For example, why we don't, instead of 2 referees, have 3 referees like in some sports? Why we have to have a referee on the chair to watch for the blockout or no, if we have a modern technology today? Why do we have a benches on this side of the court if we might try to put them on this side of the court, just to try to be different? Why we don't bring children or people ready to pay closer to the court? I don't see that the volleyball fans are violent fans, so they cannot sit there. Understand? So these are the things that we need to think about, how we are going to provide something different than the others, but still recognize our fans and what they would like to have, and to offer it to the people. And we do things, we change, but it's too slowly. And think about the idea that as of today, we have the VNL that lasts for 2 months and a half. And then for almost 9-10 months, we have no national team games, important games. And if you want to build a brand, you need to have consistency. You need to talk about that. Basketball in Europe came to a big opposition when they split the calendar, when they did the so-called windows, when they play October, December, February. Why we don't split the Nations League and we'll play throughout the year? You can imagine the 2 times World Championships, female national team of Serbia. It was like 8 or even more years they didn't play any official game in the country. How can you build a cult of the national team and invite younger players if you don't see them really in your country, if you can just see them on the television? So these are some of the challenges that volleyball is facing today. And I understand we will never be maybe like basketball or football, but I think we can build something extraordinary and different from them. And I think really that volleyball can become the best indoor female sport in the world.
Yeah, I have some thoughts. For example, if volleyball was born, it's a variation of tennis and badminton. Why volleyball? We have to watch volleyball on TV from the lateral side. I mean, the tennis and badminton are watched by the end line. Oh, so simple things like that. I mean, these are ideas, but yeah, I agree with you. I think volleyball has to do more drastic changes to increase the fan base. What do you think about that, Alfredo?
Wow, this is one of my favorite topics. I have spoken this with many friends, and Alex and many friends around the world in respect of volleyball. Why volleyball is not so fast as other sports, as you spoke about, basketball, tennis, even Formula One and racing. Maybe they're doing better marketing. I don't know. It's a big question for many books, but I think, as you say, Ivan, volleyball must adapt many things to maybe reach these things. I remember shortly what Brazil did in the 80s when the famous Generación de Plata, the silver generation of Bernard Rachman, Renaldo Soto, William da Silva started to grow. In Brazil, there was the state, the banks, and also they have many magazines. They sold, for example, volleyball shoes signed with Bernard firm. We want in Chile to have this volleyball shoe, Rainha, to play like Bernard. So they did what NBA is doing, for example, since 50 years ago. And I think it's also my opinion. What the Hall of Fame is doing, or many institutions are doing to celebrate the legend of the past, is one of the things that we must do. For example, I ask in Chile, for example, where volleyball is not so famous, I asked them, tell me please 3 tennis players, tell me very fast, 3 basketball players, 3 football players, but name me 3 volleyball players. Nobody knows. Maybe some beach volleyball players from today, but that's is one of my main questions, my main topics, my main headaches that I have about volleyball. So I want to ask you, Ivan, do you think this I don't know if I call it problem or again opportunity is because we are slow compared with other federation or other sports, or what do you think this happens to us in volleyball? And maybe what do you think, for example, what the Hall of Fame is doing or other Hall of Fames are doing to help volleyball? Is it one way to do it?
Listen, when we talk about the Volleyball Hall of Fame, you know, like when it was announced that I'm going to be an inductee, you know, like many of the people considered Volleyball Hall of Fame like something the greatest of all, just because they had an idea of the Volleyball Hall of Fame as a Hall of Fame in basketball and some other sports. Understand? But when you wanted to talk a little bit more with the people about that, they were just saying like, yeah, but please tell me more about that because we don't know nothing about this. So today, it's not how things are, it's how you present them. So also I believe that the document that the International Volleyball Hall of Fame signed with the FIVB is going to bring something new into this type of a relationship, and that the Volleyball Hall of Fame will become even more recognizable and visible outside of the United States. And I truly believe that the people are going one day, instead of going to Springfield only for the Basketball Hall of Fame, they will say, yeah, but 20 miles away from there, there's also volleyball.
Yeah.
Why don't we go there as well? And you have different ways also to promote this. And believe me, at the end of the day, it's not the most difficult part to find the money.
Do you think, Ivan, the opportunity in volleyball is a matter of narrative? I will explain. Michael Jordan not only for the 6 championships he won or for the MVPs. He was built his legacy since he was playing for North Carolina in '84. Since all the things that surround the name of Michael Jordan, his retirement from basketball, going to play baseball, the murder of his father, he came back, 3 more rings, then retired, then went to and played for Washington Wizards. Then the brand, the Jordan brand. I mean, it's not so easy to do it with any athlete, but I think the narrative for the players, for the athletes, can add some value. What do you think about that?
Tell me one brand that you can associate to any volleyball player on the international level. Still, we have 800 million, as I mentioned before, 800 million potential customers.
Yes.
I'm a
In,
big
in,
fan.
in South America,
I'm a big I'm a big fan of Mizuno brand, but almost nobody plays with Mizuno sneakers. Almost nobody.
in
It's
South
crazy.
America, we have the brand of Olímpicos from Brazil, and there is a Bruninho a model. And in Chile and some countries of South America, they use Olímpicos Bruninho, but it's a small example of a worldwide
Years
trend.
ago, something like
Yeah.
that.
Listen,
There's no brand.
Michael Jordan was lucky to be in the NCAA and NBA system.
Yep.
And to be supported by the brand such as NBA, and at the same time to be commercially on the market.
Yes.
Today, we have some volleyball players that get some kind of a budget where they can order some of the products, but you don't have in any shop the visibility of the people that they can say, yeah, but who is that guy? I've seen him 50 times. I want to know who he is or who she is.
Yes.
I went to Boston when we were in Holyoke, and I went there to buy a game jersey of Boston Celtics for my kid. And on one wall, there were like 60 different volleyball balls types, but there was no official volleyball ball there. The one that you have, Alex, behind you.
Yeah.
Yes. And then think about the brand of volleyball. When you see the ball, you don't see the design that you have on the latest edition of the volleyball ball. You have the design of the ball that we played with 25, 30 years ago. And people associate themselves with that ball. If you show them to many people, if you show them that yellow, blue, they will say, yeah, it may be also for water polo. I don't know. They might recognize it, but not as a design of before. Just take a look at the basketball of any competition of any club. The design is standardized of the ball.
Yes.
The lines on the balls are standardized. And if you tell me, write down a volleyball ball for a kid, okay, for football, they will know it, black and white maybe, or with the squares. For basketball, yeah, they might paint it in brown or dark red. But for volleyball, that would be difficult. So this is, I mean, we cannot talk about the balls. We cannot talk about the shoes. We cannot talk about the nets. We cannot talk about the organization again. It's interconnected. It has to come from the top because our organization is like this. The whole ecosystem and the examples have to be given from the top. And for giving these ideas from top, you need to create a unified vision and mission. And to accept all the stakeholders, you need to accept the national teams, national federations, clubs, fans, volunteers, referees, all the people, coaches. You need to give them the possibility to participate, to have their say, and not to be just there so you ask them about the opinion and then you decide. No, all of them need to be involved and have their say. And of course, at the end of the day, take their own responsibility, because giving a possibility to someone just to take part and without any responsibility, that's not good for sure.
All right, Ivan, I have a few more questions for you.
Shoot.
It's very amazing. It's very. I love this type of discussions. I hope we can be in another episode in the future. But what meant for you and your family your nomination to be inducted in the International Volleyball Hall of Fame, and how was the impact in the Serbian volleyball community or in the Serbian sports community?
So first of all, when I received the official communication, of course, as I also mentioned it in my speech, it was not a matter of if, but just a matter of when.
Yep.
So personally, I was very happy. because it just confirmed something that I did for a couple of decades in my life. It just recognized all the sacrifices and all the difficult moments and all the very happy moments that I had with my clubs and with my teammates from the national team. And for my family, actually, you know, like two of my kids, they saw me when they were very young. They saw me playing. The youngest one, she doesn't even remember this, but of course there's a YouTube, so she was looking at me. And as I said, they had quite of a luxury problems because it was supposed to be the second time to go to the United States. So, you know, like the one wanted this and the other one said, okay, we will go to the United States once again. So I want this, you know, so for them it was quite funny. And of course, you know, like it's a great honor, and I truly believe it, that it's really not an honor for me and my family. It's also an honor for my country. It's an honor also for Serbian sport, and it's also an honor for Serbian volleyball. Even though I have to say it officially and loudly, because this is the real truth, no one ever congratulated me from the government, from the Serbian National Olympic Committee, from the Serbian Sports Association, from the Serbian Ministry of Sports. Even if the Serbian Minister of Sport is my coach from Sydney 2000. So this leaves a little bit of bad mark on the whole situation, but still, and I always repeated it when the journalists asked me about this, I say I did it for my country. And I don't want recognition I don't need a recognition from anyone from my country. I just did it for my country, for the people, as always, for the people of my country.
Right. Well, welcome to the club.
No, this is the reality, and we didn't mention this about that. I currently live in Zurich, just 200 kilometers from the house of the FIVB International Volleyball Federation, and I have no connections with them, even though I've been living here for the last 7 years. So I'm quite good with this. I have my ideas. I want to share them with everyone, with all the respect and recognizing different opinions and the ideas. But still, I see that they can be things can be done in a different way. But from the other perspective, I have my life. I have to move forward, and that's why I try to advise the professional athletes about something else.
Amazing. You're amazing. A great way, Joe. Ivan, can you mention some person or organization who were your role models? Were you being an athlete or now in your activities?
Look, I'm really happy that I represent a role model to my kids. That's the most important thing for me. And then as a way to give back to the community here in Switzerland, in Zurich, to be honest, Switzerland is not a volleyball country. They have the organization as everything in Switzerland, everything is perfect. But from the position of the level of volleyball, I believe that they still have a space to improve. But currently, I'm coaching 2 groups. I'm coaching one group of kids under 18, because on Friday evening at 8 o'clock, they didn't have nothing else to do. And instead of letting them go out and stay 2 hours out, I just take 20 and more kids and I coach them, try to do my best at least to make them love volleyball, to be interested in volleyball, because they are of the different levels of technique. So I just have no problems about that. They are all mostly welcome to join my trainings. Of course, who wouldn't like to accept to be coached by a former Olympic champion, right? But to be honest, I've never had in my life an idea that one day I'm going to be a coach, because being a coach, that meant that during the weekends you need to go and stay with the team. I always wanted to spend my weekends, after so long career, to spend my weekends with my family and be home, be close to them. But still, I coach also one group of girls that we play the 5th league here in Zurich. So it's funny to spend some time with them to see how they really want to improve. And there are different ages, different levels, but you see the passion of trying new things, of listening what an Olympic champion has to say to them, and of course having a very, very nice time outside of the gym.
Ivan, you travel to a lot of countries, you live in a lot of countries, play in a lot of countries. Which dish or which food did you enjoy the most in those countries, and which food did you unlike the most?
A couple of years ago, I mean, quite frequently during the end of the year, we travel to Thailand. And, you know, there are people who really admire that food, but I find it so difficult for me to digest it. So, having lived in Italy for a long period of time, let's say that I'm quite familiar and used to eat Italian food. And generally, I'm open to try all the kitchens from around the world. And I have tried all the kitchens from around the world, but to be honest, you know, like I always try to stick to the Italian food, which I really, really like. Of course, I cannot say that my mother doesn't cook well, or I cannot eat what she's cooking still, but you know, it's always nice to go back home and try your own.
Okay, Alfredo.
No, I'm enjoying this conversation with Ivan. I know we're on time, on schedule right now, but I wanted to thank this opportunity to speak again with you, Ivan, because it's so a great honor to be able to speak with an Olympic champion. It's not frequently here in Chile. We are so far away we're in the south of the world, and we're very, very far away. But here in Chile, we love volleyball. And even, for example, in 2023, we have the Pan American Games in Chile, and volleyball was the second sport with more public, with more crowd in the stadium. Mysteries that we are spoken before.
I think we lost.
Or no, how to say it? How to say? We lost connection.
Yeah, now you're okay, I think.
Okay, sorry.
No problem.
I'm so far from the world, so the connection it gets lost sometimes. No, I was speaking about this topic that is very passionate for me, about the love for volleyball, for the people like you, and the connection with the people. That's one of my main points. So I'm only enjoying this. I only thank you, Ivan, for your time. I would gladly be with you in Holyoke, but this time it wasn't possible. Do you have connection right now? But okay, it's okay. I'm always so thankfully for you, and also for to Alex to invite me to do this crazy project called Plus Volleyball. In my case, Love for Volleyball, and be part of the Hall of Fame. It's very like a dream come true for people like us. So I'm only can say that I'm so happy to be with you again, Ivan.
Now listen, Alfredo. Now, when you were talking about these, I mean, you just opened another topic in my head, and that's the organization of the big competitions. You know, like, and in volleyball, if you look at the big competitions, and you just go and look for the finals, then you can say the numbers are wow.
Yes.
The organization is beautiful. The gyms are full. You have a lot of people. It's organized on the highest level. But as of today, the most important thing is the investment. And today, the private companies are trying to invest in the sports. You have many different private equity companies from the United States that invested in different sports. You have also the CVC that created a joint venture with the FIVB and them. The point is, like, the companies that invest, and I used to work for a company in Switzerland here that was investing in different funds around the world. They don't look for the finals. Let's say they don't look for the highest numbers. They look for the averages. And if you organize a final of football in Brazil, of course the Maracanã is going to be full, right? If you organize the finals of the NBA or the World Championship in the United States, of course it's going to be full. If you organize the finals of beach volleyball in Copacabana, of course it's going to be full. But let's sit and see the average numbers, because every game counts. The game where maybe not the home teams play. And when we take the average, this is what the investor is looking for. It's easy to say we are the best because we have 20,000 the finals in a big country. Understand? But let's see, in China, we have 20,000 the finals. But let's see the first game. Let's see the first 5 games. How many people were there? So this is, I know that we should think about the broadcast, about the media rights, about everything. Yes, but also that landscape is changing as well. The younger generations are not watching. Who's going to watch for the game of 2 hours, 2 hours and 15? Only people like Alfredo and Alex and Ivan who might like volleyball.
For
understand.
sure.
But the younger generations, after 3 minutes, 5 minutes, they will say, okay, let me check my phone. Let me check what's outside of my house. Let me check what's on my social media, on my computer. Understand? So these kind of things that we need to transform, and we are not the only ones. Also, football, soccer, NHL, and the other ones are going to do the same. And one day tomorrow, if you want to monetize it, you'll have to sell this content. Are you really sure that someone is going to pay you for 3 minutes or 50 seconds or 20 seconds of your instead of paying someone else?
Exactly.
Yeah, this is what we have to think about now. And also the private equity companies, they're not going to stay in volleyball because, or in any other sports, because they like and love sport. They love money because the people who invested in them, they want the money back.
Absolutely.
Understand? So these are all the components that we need to take in consideration if we want to do something. And how we can do this, one part of the story is also the same thing like what happened in 2010. It went bad, but it was a really beautiful idea. If you remember the Volleyball Heroes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The campaign that started. And the idea was excellent, but the execution was really, really bad. I received a call to join the campaign 2 days before the end of the World Championships in Italy, in Rome. Understand? So these things are something that we should use and learn from, and then try to figure out why we have Leon, why we have before Jiba, why we have Ngapet today, why we have the Japanese players, why we have the Polish players also not being so visible. Why we should just promote the competitions in the countries where we know that the people will come, like Italy, like Brazil, like Poland. We need to go and sell volleyball to, I don't know, Germany. We need to go and sell volleyball to Argentina. We need to go and sell volleyball to Mexico. We need to go and sell volleyball to really big countries. That one day tomorrow they're going to India as well. But it has to start, and like the NBA started, they didn't start organizing a professional league or supporting the top league. They started from the grassroots levels. And there we come to the same point like we talked at the beginning. At the age of 17, there's a crossroad. Should I stay in volleyball or should I do something else?
Yeah.
That's the biggest topic. And I really don't know the numbers. I hope that some people somewhere in the world caring about volleyball have the numbers and collect the numbers about how many kids leave volleyball, maybe for some other sport, or maybe just because they quit and continue somewhere else.
I hope we can talk about those issues in another episode. We can talk in another episode about your book also, for sure. When are you launching your book?
Yeah, look, in the last 2 years, I was collecting some parts of my life, and actually in the last 2 years, together with that, I came across many professional athletes around the world. And when talking about the finances, because at the end of my career, I went back to study and I did finance and economy and some other courses. And when I spoke to the athletes about the finances, about their life after career, when I asked a couple of questions, what was the answer from that athletes? They were just saying like, why we didn't know that before? Why no one ever asked us? Because as long as you play, everybody takes care of you. The club, the national federation, the Olympic committee, you're important to the FIVB and the CEV because you represent them, an asset to create an event. But once you're done, nobody cares about you. You're alone. And many of the athletes, 65% of the NBA athletes, after a couple of years at the end of their career, they're in big financial problems. And not only in that sport, in different sports. So that's why I said, okay, you don't have an excuse anymore. Ivan is going to write a book. It's going to be a kind of a book manual where I'm going to use a very simple language to explain to former athletes, but also to all the people around the world, the basic financial terms, but also to give you some of my personal situations that happened to me throughout my career, positive ones and not so positive ones, and what I experienced and what a friend as an athlete experienced. So I believe that in like 1 month and a half, I'm going to be really happy if you're going to read the book once I'm going to send it to you. Perfect. I hope this is going to be a nice present to all the athletes or the future athletes about their financial situation at the end of the career and about how they will be prepared for what is going to happen, as I said before, in their real life. So hopefully it's going to be a very nice manual where the athletes will try, at least if they get one idea, to ask, to change, to try, to save, to invest. I believe that's going to be a positive start from what we have right now.
Right. Well, so we are set for another next episode, Ivan. Thanks a lot, Ivan. Thanks a lot, Alfredo. Ivan, you have a final message for the people who are watching us right now live or later recorded?
The only thing I can say is like, believe in volleyball, love volleyball, train and play volleyball, and try to find a way how you can be involved, that we all together create something good for volleyball.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Ivan. We'll keep in touch for sure.
All the best, guys. Whenever you need me, I'm here. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, Alfredo. Muchas gracias, Alfredo.
Chao, Alex.
Gracias, Alfredo. Gracias,
Oye,
Alex.
Eso, despídete en español, Iván. Adiós, Iván. Gracias.
Adiós. Bye, bye.
Bye.